This is Rogers TV.
Interest payments were going up, creditors were calling. I finally realized I needed help. The people at Janes & Noseworthy really took care of me, and I'm glad I chose a local solution. I felt like they understood me better. Getting help with my debt has given me the energy, the headspace, and the time to make my dreams come true. A chance to start again with knowledge, support, and people in your corner. Are you looking for that kind of help? It's okay.
Learn more about Leah's story at janesnoseworthy.ca.
It isn't the heavy trays that make the job difficult, or the fast pace you need to keep up. It's not working another double because someone called in sick. What makes the job tough is the moment you realize a customer has had enough, and you have to make that decision not to overserve. Refusing service isn't personal, it's the law. We know it's not easy, but we're counting on you to keep us all safe. Thank you, servers, for doing the tough job.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Out of the Fog, a Local Matters Bop, 20 years in the making, right across the province. And we're so excited that you're joining us tonight. We have three very amazing women coming through. We have Laura from the Status of Women's Council talking about empowering them. We have Gerri Lynn Mackey, the voice of VOCM's morning show, and the incredible Sasha Hutton from HGTV's Rock Solid Bills and the Newfoundland Staging Company. I can't even handle it. It's Out of the Fog, and we'll be right back after this break.
You're watching Rogers TV St. John's.
Hi, I'm Carl Wells, getting ready to record another edition of Carl Wells Point to Point. It's a program where I chat with members of our community, and they talk candidly about their lives and careers, from their earliest dreams to their greatest triumphs. I think you'll find it informative and entertaining. Please join us for Carl Wells Point to Point, right here on Rogers TV.
You're watching Rogers TV St. John's.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Out of the Fog, the first of three segments tonight featuring three powerhouse women doing amazing things. Laura, how are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you so much for being here. I know you have a lot going on. Very busy role with your job as Executive Director of the St. John's Status of Women's Council. I mean, I can only imagine that in the run of a day, week, month, the responsibilities and opportunities that you manage for this organization are immense. Am I right?
Yes, and we have a phenomenal staff. I get to be the face of the organization, but there's a lot of work that happens behind the scenes with a really excellent staff team.
That's amazing. The sign of a true leader is someone who is automatically ready to throw the attention back to the people versus taking any credit. And the second I met you, I'm like, this is this type of person, which is amazing. How long have you been working in the sector?
I've been in the community sector for around 10 years now, and I've been in this role for just over 2 years, okay. You know, working for this feminist organization that works from harm reduction, from housing first, from women-centered philosophies, serving women and non-binary folks in St. John's.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. And so, you know, there's so many things that we can be talking about. I would like to start by asking you a more personal question of, you know, what drew you into the line of work that you are so passionate about?
I came from an unusual area into community work, so I was an academic when I first started, and it was through volunteering and seeing the work that was happening in the community sector. If somebody hasn't been involved in the community sector, I think there's not an understanding of the amount of work that happens here, the quality and value of that work, and it is so wonderful to work for an organization so well aligned with my values as a feminist. I'm extremely lucky.
That's amazing. And they're very lucky to have you as well. And how many staff and volunteers are involved in the organization's daily life?
So we've got around 30 staff. It fluctuates with different projects on the go,
Sure.
and a huge roster of volunteers that help out with different programming. And we're just so lucky, including the volunteers on our board who work extremely hard to make happen what happens in the forward-facing work of our organization.
That's amazing. So, you know, various projects, you say, various initiatives, various responsibilities, various locations where the work is done. It's a lot to manage. And so many people help you do it. I'd like to turn our attention to a project that has brought so much value to my own life, and this is empowering them. Why don't you tell the viewers watching tonight all about this?
Excellent. So this is our new e-course, an online learning course that we are launching related to gender-based violence. And this has really been a dream, I know, since I came to the organization, to be doing this forward-facing work. For decades, the work around gender-based violence has been happening behind the walls of women's centers, status of women's councils, sexual assault crisis prevention centers, transition houses. It's been seen as a women's issue, and it's been primarily these women-serving organizations working on it. We know from working with women who have experienced gender-based violence that this is not a women's issue. This is a societal issue. When we sit in groups with women and they are healing together and supporting each other, and we do run a group called Empowering Ourselves, women bring the world into the room. So they talk about the fact that what's really challenging is the way the world views this issue of gender-based violence. With this e-course, we are bringing this issue out of the room with those women and into the world and saying this is something that we can all engage with in shifting conversations, in checking in with those folks in our lives. Because if you're watching, you know, perhaps this is not an issue you think is relevant to you, but I guarantee you someone in your life is experiencing gender-based violence or is inflicting violence on somebody. We're not trained how to have those conversations in school. We're not taught how to check in and have an informed conversation about gender-based violence. There's so much stigma. Women say they feel so much shame and they experience so much judgment. And we want to reduce that. So that's what this e-course is all about, shifting the conversation and, you know, a little bit around thinking in terms of what's happened with mental health in the past number of years. And I think even since I've been in the community sector, I see a shift. So we think differently about mental health now than we did 10 years ago. We're having different conversations as a society. I think the stigma is being addressed in different ways. That's what we want to happen around gender-based violence, to bring it out of the shadows and have people considering it and how they might engage with people in their lives about this topic.
I think that's so amazing, and you're so right. Mental health, and I have a special lean into that world, the work that I do with Amelia Curran, who started It's Mental, and her and I, and the work that we've done over the years. And that conversation, to your point, was very much not one. It was not a conversation. And now we're so able to have conversations where we are able to be vulnerable and open about depression and about anxiety. And it's just every day, and we're embracing that. And not just younger, more, you know, involved and evolved demographics, but older folks are leaning into that as well and being thankful that things are where they are. And the same thing goes for the topic that the e-course is introducing. It's a free e-course, available soon. Tell us more about the excitement that the organization has about launching this incredible tool.
So we're so excited. There's a launch happening on November 3rd. We are having an in-person launch, but also for the general public, you can watch it on our Facebook Live, and that'll be happening at 10 a.m. And really this launch is about getting the word out there, because this course is for everybody. It's for anybody 14 plus. So we're very hopeful about, you know, high schoolers engaging with this, about folks in all communities, in all workforces. This is intended for everybody, from St. John's to Happy Valley Goose Bay, up the coast to Nain. This is about every single person in this province. So we really want folks to be able to engage with this online through our website, and to take this course and to gain the tools to have a bit of a different conversation with folks in their lives. I
think that's amazing. It's so powerful. It's incredible work that you all are doing. The URL, empoweringthem.ca. What is the,
That's correct. So the idea behind Empowering Them is that this is about about empowering community members to have different conversations. We would get calls at the Status of Women Council and Women's Centre from dads, from friends, cousins saying, I think there's someone in my life who's experienced violence. What do I do? And this is about saying, okay, what you can do is check in. You can have a non-judgmental conversation, and the course gives people the tools to have those conversations and feel a bit more comfortable around this topic that we have not been talking about as a society.
Incredible. I can't begin to explain to everybody viewing at home all of the incredible folks that have been a part of the content creation and creating this virtual tool. Again, it is absolutely free. It is not War and Peace. It is easy to get through and experience and enjoy and learn from. And it is such a value to us all in the province and beyond. Thank you so much for coming here today.
Thank you. I mean, like you said, this is an hour and a half. We hope folks will take that time out of their lives and be part of the change that's happening here, because this is about change.
Absolutely. And it starts right here in every one of us to take responsibility to check in on each other. Thank you so much for the great work that you continue to do with your incredible staff and volunteers. And guys, empowering them. Check it out. This is Out of the Fog, and we'll be right back.
It all started when I racked up some serious debt. Interest payments were going up, creditors were calling. Janes and Noseworthy came up with a plan. Knowing that the phone was going to stop ringing and that I was not in this alone was a huge relief. Bankruptcy or a consumer proposal or whatever help you get is not the end. It's just the beginning. A chance to start again with knowledge and support and people in your corner. Are you ready? Get out of debt. It's okay.
Learn more about Leah's story at janesnoseworthy.ca.
He fell. Whoa, I'm not driving. I'm way too stoned. How are you feeling, Veer?
Oh, since we had that talk, I'm not driving tonight at all.
What about you, Dave?
You only had a couple of drinks.
And only a couple of puffs.
I don't drink and drive. No way I'm getting behind the wheel when I smoked weed, too.
How are we getting home, then?
You can drive, Dave.
Come on, Dave.
Take one for the team, buddy.
Don't let weed and alcohol influence your decision to drive.
Yeah, I need a ride.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Out of the Fog. We just had a wicked old chat with Laura from the St. John's Status of Women's Council, and now we're switching into the media moment with powerhouse, voice on the mic, the one and only Gerri Lynn Mackey. What is up?
Hello, Donnie.
Now, I'm like to flip it on you here.
I know.
Usually you got the mic in my face, and now I'm saying, no, come to my place, and I'll tell you what's up, and here we are.
I'm a little nervous.
Are you?
I'm used to asking the questions.
I know, which is nice to be in that power position.
Yeah.
Let's share it, though, tonight.
Okay,
Let's enjoy life.
Okay.
I'm going to ask the folks, do you know this is the voice of the VOCM? When you hear her in the morning, she's the girl talking all the talk. What led you there?
Well, I studied visual art, and I sort of graduated and became a performance artist. So there was a lot of wacky art going on for many years. I was living in Corner Brook.
Love.
And they were hiring at the radio station in Corner Brook.
You're doing well, and folks love you on the air. Did you expect it?
No. Seriously, no. Didn't even think about that.
Really? That's what I could see.
And now I'm going to lie awake tonight and be like, people are listening. Because when you're in radio, you don't see an audience.
Yeah, true. It's you and the crew.
Right. You kind of got to make your own fun.
Yeah.
Which was a transition for me going into the morning show here, because it's an in-studio position, and I was the roving reporter. I was literally everywhere, going off in all directions.
Yeah, and which, it's a very different thing to be you and the mic and stories all over is its own adventure.
Well, coming to you live from like a dead whale, right? That's about to explode in Trout River or whatever. So that going from there to, or I rode in a limo with a three-legged cat named Trooper. Then we went to meet Trooper, the band.
No, with the cat?
Yeah,
I
don't
mean,
know.
You can't make this thing
Been
up.
through some things. VOCM has given me a lot of
That's great.
stories to tell.
Well, I mean, you know what? It takes a unique personality of someone who makes the most of these interesting challenges and opportunities, and they're also time sensitive, and the weather here changes every minute. So you got to have a real taste for adventure.
And the pandemic, you know what I mean? Like all the
God.
stories, the different places people were in throughout this, still ongoing. Yeah, so.
I mean, ultimately, when it comes to what you do in the morning, and the guests and all the production, there's a lot that goes on below the waterline that folks listening on the other end don't realize. Am I right?
It's true. That's very true.
Yeah,
Like I get up at 3.
Well, that's
you know.
This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. It's like there are things that go on that you're not just waltzing into the mic and what are you at. There's a lot of planning, a lot of prep.
What's happening?
Yeah, hey,
because
I'm
if
just
you go
here.
to bed at 7, you don't know what happens after 7 p.m. So you have to get up early to kind of like get your bearings on what's going on in the world.
That's
so,
wild.
Yeah.
You know, the number of people that you interact with in the run of a day, let alone a week, that's a lot of communicating.
How many pictures do you have on your phone?
Scatters.
Yeah, I bet you do.
A few photos.
Yeah.
But I mean, when I think about you and the different number of guests and the topics, keeping it fresh, keeping it interesting, keeping it going is half of the job of it.
And then there's 20,000 photos on my phone, like, and having to like, you know, manage the people that you meet.
Totally.
And I like to follow up with people, you know what I mean? After
Which is
I
hard
talk
to do.
Someone, right?
Yeah, and that's hard to do because and likewise for me, ultimately, there's so many people who come on the show. It's so amazing. You hear so many stories, so many interesting things, and they stay with you. Do they stay with you?
Oh yeah, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And like you, as a reporter, you're not supposed to have these feelings or be you can't take a side. You can't take one side of the coin at all.
Right.
So that's challenging too sometimes because even though you try to be robotically biased, you're going to identify with something sooner or later, right?
Well, you've had life experience and you've had your own realities, and so sometimes people must come on the show with their beliefs and opinions, and it must be very triggering. That's when the professional Gerri Lynn has to kick in and to not react, but just to be the conduit for conversation.
Yeah, and you have to find ways, I guess, to deal with it too.
Big time.
Which, I mean, that takes time.
I bet. I'm sure there's been some subjects and some guests and some topics in the show in those early hours right into the mid-morning that affect you in ways that you can't process because you're at work.
Yeah, or attending the scene of an accident and you find out later that it's someone you know or something. Now, I'm not really in that realm of, you know, attending accidents anymore, but as an on-call reporter, I certainly, got home that night. I went to my first fatal in Corner Brook, and I got home that evening and was about to go to sleep, and my partner said that was our friend's son, right? Who I hadn't seen in years.
Right.
Didn't know he had a different last name from our friend, so it was just like, it hit you like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
And then you're absolutely exhausted because you have to get up early the next morning, you gotta go to bed. So you can't process it then, it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, turning it off, you don't do it. Go to people.
You can't.
At the end of the day.
Exactly.
You know, looking back, performance artist, such a different journey into the vocation of talk and getting the story. What's the biggest challenge for you in that regard?
You have to speak visually, so there is that, right? You have to sort of paint people a picture with your mouth, with your words. Definitely.
Which is not a challenge for you.
Right. I don't mind at all. You're the same way. You know what I mean? Like very talkative story, fun, bubbly.
We've always had our fun over the years, and guys, listen. You know, Gerri Lynn and I, we're old school. You know, Gonzaga Vikings for life, and so we've had our years of fun and living life, and to be sitting here now as storytellers in our own way, it's pretty rewarding. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, definitely. But during the pandemic, you don't interact with the public as much, so you don't hear it or see it, which I've definitely, I mean, I'm a runaround. I'm a people person, and I want to get out and go everywhere. And just, you know, cold calling people, like, so,
Gerri, if someone's tuning in to a morning of the broadcast that you lead, I mean, as diverse and dynamic as the day is long, I'm sure. What do you hope folks walk away from after listening to you and the guests that you have?
Well, my co-host and I, Ben Murphy. God, he's wonderful.
The best.
It's about informing people, but not hitting them over the head with the information, because there's been a lot of heavy information. So you don't want to sound like you're under pressure, because no one wants to hear that. So I don't know. I'm glad I have Ben. You know what I mean?
So great.
Because I could just fool around all day. I really could.
Well, you know, and I'm sure that's half the fun, right?
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, we balance each other well, I think, so.
Well, it sounds amazing. You guys are definitely a great team. And so many folks across the province and beyond tune in, listen to, and love what you guys are bringing. So please keep up the good work. I know you're blushing now. Don't do even know.
What? I'm going to be nervous tomorrow.
Well, would you come back again and hang out sometime?
All right, yeah.
Please do.
Yeah,
I love it.
absolutely.
Amazing.
Love to.
Thank you so
and
much.
I'll call you for an interview.
Oh,
as well.
don't be added. Guys, this is Out of the Fog. This is Gerri Lynn Mackey. She's the voice you're hearing every day on the VOC, and we're so thankful. Keep up the good work. It's Out of the Fog. We're right back after this break. Welcome back, everybody. This is Out of the Fog. I've been having the best old time so far, hanging out with all the powerhouses that you're seeing. And now, I mean, Sasha Hutton coming through. How did I get so lucky? I don't know. I don't even know.
Oh, you're so kind.
Listen,
I feel very lucky. I feel like this is something I watch, always watch the red chairs. I get to actually sit in one of the red chairs.
It's wild.
Look at me.
Listen, when I first started hosting the show, I was like, is this happening? Because being on the show, and it's very different.
Yeah.
And it's very thankful because I've met so many amazing people.
Oh, I can imagine.
Oh, it's so cool. And 20 years Out of the Fog's been doing its thing.
What?
I know, it's crazy.
Oh my gosh.
We grew up with it, didn't we?
I was going to say, that's amazing.
I know.
Well,
so speaking of amazing, how does a girl go from dreams of being in the interior style industry to now being a co-host of Rock Solid Bills on HGTV?
Yeah. It kind of just came out of nowhere.
What is this?
I know, honestly, it kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah?
Sam and I, we had the staging company,
right,
and we were working away, and then one day I was actually getting my hair done. She's like, Sasha, are you sitting down? And I was like, no, I'm about to get my hair done. She's like, you need to sit down. I just got a call from a producer in Toronto. And I was like, what? I just like, it's not even, and I was like, was it a scam? And she was like, no, it's real. So, I mean, that was like 2 years in the making. We had to do a lot of like interviews and processes, and people were flying down and kind of making sure we were a right fit. And we had to send in videos that we watched the other day, and they were so embarrassing. Oh, man. But it was, so it's been a process, but we've worked really hard to kind of get where we are today. And I mean, I'm so thrilled to be on the show.
Listen, and everyone is loving it. Did you expect that it would be so well received?
Newfoundlanders are warm and loving and kind, and I'm just so glad that we're able to kind of show that. You know what I mean? Like Randy and all the crew. Everyone, first thing they ask me is Randy as nice as he seems? And I'm like, he's 100% the nicest guy ever. Like,
that's the best.
He's a gem. Like, he's a sweetheart. And it's gotten a lot of buzz. Thankfully, we're still wearing masks, so people don't really, because I'm kind of uncomfortable with it a bit.
Sure.
I'm not used to it yet.
Right.
But it's been really good. It's been amazing for Newfoundland. Unfortunately, people haven't been able to come here in as much to be able to see it.
Talk about home staging, because I know about it just based on different work in the industry. You live it, but folks at home may not understand sort of the nuance of what home staging is. Why don't you explain it for the newcomers to the topic?
Right, okay, so I own a home staging company. I own a warehouse that is completely full of all my own furniture. I have around 15 to 16 houses worth.
Oh, wow.
So what it is when the house is unoccupied, no one's living in it, I go in and I bring in all my furniture. So it's not just, a sofa and a chair. It's literally the trays, the books, the greenery, because that's only 50% of it, just the furniture.
Right.
It's the other stuff is the decor. It makes you feel something, right?
Yeah.
So home staging, it just finishes the space. Like it completely, when you walk into a restaurant or a spa or anything, the first thing it's how it makes you feel.
Sure.
So when I design these homes and stage these homes, it just creates a setting for people. So they walk in, it's all brand new, fresh furniture. It's a modern feel. So I could take a really old home that kind of looks dingy, like got the net curtains and the balances and so I just take all of that out and I start with a fresh canvas and then I just bring in my pieces to suit it.
Did you always have a talent, a passion, a love for home decor and style?
No, man.
Get out.
No, legit. What? Yeah, so I'm a horse girl. I'm a horse girl through and through.
Okay.
I started off, when I was younger, horses have always been my passion. My first thing I did was I taught horseback riding. I taught horse camps. And then I was the riding instructor at Clover Valley Riding Stable.
Well, that's like grew up in Logie Bay. It's
right?
Like
So you're
around
feeling it.
where me and Scott grew up.
I
It's
know.
like we're surrounded by horses.
And it's just that amazing, there's something about Logie Bay, you know what I mean? Oh, that feeling of going to Clover Valley. Anyway, so I always thought maybe I would do something with horses. But my dad made a great comment to me one time and said, Sasha, keep your passion as your passion so that you do your career, and then when you're having stressful days, you can always go to your passion.
Wow.
Yeah, so I really focused on that.
Good advice.
And it was funny, when I was in high school, I realized, like, wow, I'm really terrible at school.
Me too.
Like math, biology, like all these things are not like I was not into it. And I was like, what was I doing? I was doing student council, I was doing dance committee, I was doing all these things that I didn't realize. Like when I was in school, I was like, oh my gosh.
And yet it's true that the things that are actually interesting to you go on to be just super beneficial in a bunch of ways you never expected.
No, and I had no idea. And like that's honestly one of the biggest things I feel like now when people write me and say like how, you know, I don't know what I should do with my career, you know, they're like coming out of high school. Because I finished high school and I went and became a fox hunting groom for a while in South Carolina. I know, it's such a random life.
Wow.
And then when I came back, I know, that's when I was like, I sat down with my mom, we were watching a show, and when I was watching the show with her, there was some kind of like design thing on, and she was like, Sash, I think you could do that. I was like, yeah, I think I like that. I think that'd be kind of cool. And I'm really into like organizing and just that kind of side of me.
Yeah.
So anyways, I went to school, Lawrence College.
Love.
Fantastic.
Great.
Last person in the all Lawrence College.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, we were the last school, we were the last ones. But I went to that, and honestly, it's like the doors just opened. I was like, oh, this is what, you know, I was finally getting like 90s, and like I was thriving. I was full on, because it wasn't school, it wasn't work. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And honestly, it was like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And then from that moment on, it just, I was very focused. Like we were supposed to do a work term here. And I was like, yeah, no, I think I'm gonna go away. So I went to Scotland and became a designer in Scotland for my work term.
That is proof of passion right there.
Yeah, because if you're not always reaching, you have to push yourself. If you don't push yourself, no one else is gonna push you, right?
So right. I'll tell you what, anyone viewing this, so many entrepreneurial lessons here and so much value to walk away from. We're in our final second here before the interview's over. Can't even believe time flew so quick. Will you come back again?
Obviously, of course.
I love. How can folks get at you online for your service of Newfoundland Staging Company or to check out an episode of Rock Solid Build? How can we do this?
So for Rock Solid Builds, you can check it out on HGTV. It's on the website. You can follow it. You can watch it live on the website.
Oh, cool.
Season 2 is starting, going to be airing in February. We're right in the midst of filming right now. It's complete chaos, but I love it. And for Newfoundland Staging Co., I have a website, newfoundlandstagingco.com, or on Instagram or Facebook.
Love it.
Yeah.
Sasha, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Love it. Guys, Out of the Fog. I'm just ear to ear here. Can't wait for the next time we're hanging out. We'll be right back in just a few minutes. Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. I can't tell you how rewarding it is to hang out with some of the best and the brightest right across the province. Thank you, Sasha. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Gerri Lynn. It's a pleasure. If you guys ever want to come on the show, drop a line, check it out, and you might find yourself hanging out in the red chair. 20 years of Out of the Fog. Thank you so much to the incredible staff and volunteers that give so much time and passion to help us tell stories for each other. It's Out of the Fog, and we'll see you next time.
If you have a comment about this program, we'd love to hear it. Email or call us